Very much. My name is Eve Pearl, and thank you to the lovely crew here of IMATS and Makeup Artist magazine. They've really been working hard internationally. They've been doing this for a long time. Today's class is actually very special and dear to my heart because I've been doing this for, we gotta update that intro because now it's been 20 years. Eventually this changed, right? But I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm very fortunate to have 5 of these lovely statues and to have been department head on a TV show called The View. Some of you might have heard of it. While working on The View is when I created the Eve Pearl brand. The whole line started out there because I was working on women of all different ages, different skin tones, and different issues with their skin. Issues that go from people that have allergies, that need to have gluten-free things on them, for people that need to have products that have no fragrance, for some people that had raised freckles, discoloration, age marks. And I started my whole career in this industry in the theater, making people's faces change from being young to looking old, from looking larger to looking thinner. I mean, doing every possible trick that you can, but all for theater. And I learned my makeup artistry there, so I don't have any official training in a school. So everything I learned on stage to recreate someone's faces. So for those of you that come by and notice the whole Eve Pearl method, that it's slightly different than things that we've been taught, it's because I do things that visually that I see. So I didn't have any habits that were taught to me by people. So sometimes it's good to not to know. The reason I'm saying this is sometimes ignorance has been my biggest help in building my career. So why do I sometimes appreciate ignorance? Because if ignorance can take fear away from us, that could be the biggest positive help that you will ever have. So every once in a while, it's okay to be dumb. It's okay not to know so much. It's okay not to think too much. Sometimes overthinking, it creates fear, creates overanalyzing. Some of you might understand, some of you women who, some of my own friends, we have a tendency to overanalyze when a guy says, bye, have a good night. We think, what did he mean by that? He meant goodbye, have a good night. So the same thing with work and with building a career. There's a lot that we overthink when if we just were to do it, it would be so much easier. I want to share with you a little bit of my experience, and I'm going to give you my keys to success that will work in any career that you want to do. I know many makeup artists that are very talented artists that can't work, don't have good reputations, and are not happy. I used to work in a business career. I used to help take companies public and write prospectuses, and I went to school for business. And it wasn't the most fulfilling career, and I ended up doing makeup under the pressure and guise of a lot of people saying, well, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do makeup? I mean, is that really what? Yeah, I realized I'm very proud to be a makeup artist. I'm fulfilled to do what I do, and I make a nice living doing it, and I'm helping not only educate others, but I'm also helping others build their own careers, because there's plenty of room in this industry for everyone to have success while helping other people feel good with products that are good for them and helps make them all look good. So my goal is to help women and men get a visual competitive edge. At the same time, help everyone who wants to have a career in the beauty industry. Now, the beauty industry is huge. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's one of the most difficult and challenging industries to be in, and this is just 1 or 2 or 3 facets of it. You know, the cosmetic industry has everything from being an artist, to being a developer, to being a chemist, to being in PR, to writing the information, to doing instructionals. This is a huge marketplace that you can have so many different levels, and you can start out as a makeup artist and then, and do everything from working in a television show, on a movie, in theater, doing brides, doing women, helping victims from burns or from cancer. There's so much that we can do here. And you can also take it to the executive level and have sales that take you to $1 million, $50 million, $100 million a year, and then some. I just want to see, with a show of hands, how many people here are already makeup artists? Okay, great. How many of you aspire to work in film and television? Great. How many of you aspire to have your own makeup line? Great. How many of you want to have your own business and your own store possibly? Okay. So you see, your aspirations go way beyond playing with colors, right? And putting makeup on ourselves, but we all begin by helping ourselves. Many of us get into this industry because we might have an issue. I have lots of issues, so I have lots of stuff to do here. You know, my issues ranged from having rosacea to having acne, very sensitive. I mean, I have more problems than you can imagine, but I can look at those as problems, or I could look at those as opportunities to create solutions. And if I couldn't find them out there for myself, I knew that there wasn't anything out there for others either. So I did one thing to help myself, one more thing, and after helping myself, I realized, let me try to share it with somebody else. If you think of business as something that you do, and while you're helping somebody else, it's a win-win, and that's what fulfillment is all about. You know, it's like, it's great to have goals. I have goals. Goals are better than dreams, because I always feel dreams is something you do when your eyes are closed and it's a fantasy world and out of your reach, but a goal is within your reach. And you know what? Nothing is beyond your reach. So you can have a goal to do anything you want to. With information, with persistence and perseverance, you can aspire to do anything that you want to. And if someone tells you there's no way you can do that or you shouldn't do that, that should be your biggest motivator to reach for the FU factor. Because, think about it for a minute, because sometimes that's a good motivator too. Just so you could say to somebody that, and say, really, you told me I couldn't do that? Let me show you how I can do that. Whatever it takes. Some of us need positive, you know, things, and some of us need the FU factor to show somebody that we can do it, even though nobody believes in us. But sometimes it just takes one person, okay, to believe in us. The reason I'm putting these things out, I'm not doing a demo today because you guys can see demos all day long. You've seen my demos, they're like all over the place. But the demos are not what's going to make you successful. I have little notes, and I'm going to show you why I'm taking these things out. The first thing I want to begin, in life and in our kit, believe it or not, makeup and how we work sort of mirrors our lives, okay? Those of you that have your large suitcases that you travel with your makeup, it's great to have that. I had that as well. Try to aspire on minimizing your makeup to be this big, if not smaller. Out of this little bag, I can do everybody who's here for any occasion. Whether it's a runway, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a TV show or a theatrical production, everything I need is in this bag. For everybody that has a suitcase, and I had a suitcase myself, with lots of little shit that we don't need, the goal is, because just in case, you know what, that just in case is not going to happen. And if it happens, you'll figure out another way to work with it. Slowly, the goal should be to minimize, minimize, minimize. The less stuff you have, the less confusing you're going to make yourself, and the less confusing you're going to make somebody else, so the less confused. Now, I'm a foreigner to this country. This is not this country. I'm not even in my own country, see? If I'm someone who is old, can't really see very well, my hands shake, and I can't speak English very well, if I can be successful in this industry, you guys have nothing to complain about. All right, and if I can make it against all odds with terrible skin and acne and rosacea, so if I can make it on television, anybody can. The reason I have this is because I want you to see some of the things that take place. And evolution, all right? Because as makeup artists, as people, every single one of you is an entrepreneur. You're already a walking business. If you're considered a freelancer, you're already an entrepreneur. That means you have to know how to book a job. You have to know how to show up on time. You have to balance a budget of what can I afford to buy. Is it more value to me to buy something expensive, one item or 10 items that I could buy at $1? That depends on what kind of business you want to create and your brand. Everything you do is your brand. And your brand starts out with you. So the way you present yourself when you go to a job is your brand, is your reputation. Before you have a single item, you have your reputation. And a reputation is the most valuable thing we have. Because you're only as good as your reputation. If you look around, and you can ask every professional who's here, most of the jobs that you will get will be through word of mouth and recommendations. Personally, I've never looked at anyone's resume or their website or their book, and no one's looked at mine. And I spent lots of money on a House of Portfolios portfolio, and I spent a lot of time testing and making my book look so good. Nobody looked at my book. And all it did was get me to feel terrible about myself because nobody cared to look at my book. But I got hired because of recommendations and because I would show up. So the most important thing is you. So if you don't have all the greatest talents in the world of being an artist, don't worry about it. Because you can get way more ahead and successful than someone who might be a fantastic artist, but is a real jerk to work with. And we all know at least one or two people that maybe we don't want to work with, and one or two people who are not great artists, but they are so reliable. They'll be there on time. They'll help out. They'll clean brushes. And that was me. That's what I did. I'm not an artist at all. I have good taste. There's a difference. So I know what looks good. I might not be the most creative person, but I know how to make things fast and how to simplify things. And I want to show others how to simplify their lives. That's why we're here, and that's why I'm going to show you a couple of little things. I'm going to grab a little swig of water. And there's a little structure. I have absolutely no structure in my life, which is okay. It's good to have an overall goal, but not to be so rigid that you can't switch around. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but our brand, I started out doing makeup 20 years ago. I wrote a book in 2002, this book. The reason I wrote the book is that I was doing segments on The View. And I would say, instead of plastic surgery, you can do this. And instead of plastic surgery, you can do this. I trademarked that. That's the other thing. If you want to have a name of a company for yourself, research to see if anybody else already has that name. If nobody does, spend $350 or whatever it might cost here and trademark a name. Because you might build the name of something and realize somebody else already owns it. These are simple things, but very important. So find a name that you like for yourself, your company, your website. Make sure somebody else doesn't have it or own it. The same thing when you use music, by the way, by others. So I'm going to sit down. No reason for me to stand. You already saw my shoes and my dress and my thing, so it's like I could sit down now. And then I'm going to show you things about innovation. First thing, realize what you want to be. At least have a basic idea. Do you want to be a makeup artist? You want to be a superstar? You want to be a celebrity artist, or you want to be the celebrity? Or is your goal to make people feel good and have a business career? Because there's really lots of different fields. My recommendation to you is do one thing at a time, learn how to put makeup on, and don't be overly fabulous. Learn the basics. Learn what's a basic makeup that's going to work on everybody. That's why I created the whole Eve Pearl method. You can use 3 basic colors. Hey Pom, can you bring me the powder palette? Because I got 2 creams here and no bombshell. And have a good team, or at least one. When I first started, I was me and I had an assistant. When we opened up the store, I was the president, she became vice president. So as we grew, then that's how it happens. You know, she was all of a sudden she's like, oh, I'm vice president. I'm like, you're still my assistant. Can you pick up the phone? But that's exactly what. She's like, I'm the vice president. I need an assistant now. But you need to have a good team. For those of you that like to buy large palettes of things, I'm going to say please do those and play with colors for a little bit, but try not to use that on customers. Because if you open up a big palette that has like a million different little colors, because I have like 3 or 4 or 5 of them I always bought because they were great when they first start out. But any professional or somebody who knows better, if they see you take that out on a job, you'll probably not get hired again. We will not hire you again, and the television shows that I work on will not, because they're like, oh, there's a student. And just because you're a student, there's nothing wrong with that. But not everybody needs to know. Even if you don't know what you're doing, they don't all need to know. If you look professional and you're just quiet, like my first job was on Al Pacino, before I knew what I was doing. But I faked my way into this job because I was quiet. I didn't even know how to hold a brush. But I was thrown into a situation that I was not prepared for. But I didn't run away. So the moral there is, if you wait to be ready to do anything, you are never going to be ready. So you have to just do it. Because the worst that could happen is never as bad as the fear of the worst that's going to happen. So the worst that would have happened to me is I would have been fired by Al Pacino. But I would have gotten to touch Al Pacino and say, heck, I got to touch Al Pacino. And you know what? The best that happened, and he didn't fire me. So again, always weigh what the worst is going to be and the best is going to be. The worst situation is never going to be as bad as the fear of it. So if you have to choose just simple colors to use on people, doesn't matter what. If you just have a little bit of a dark brown color, if you have like a bronze color and a champagne color, these are 3 basic colors that you can do anybody's makeup with. I don't care what palette you use. If you have 3 basic colors, and this goes for theater, this goes for television, and this goes for real life. You need 3. You don't need every purple color, every blue, every green, and we have that, we use it, but don't be fabulous to do that. Just do the basics of what's gonna work. Like I have it on my eyes and I've been putting it on everyone because I want you to know that if you could do the basics and be really good at the basics, you will always work. And focus on not just doing the beautiful 15-year-old, because quite frankly, the 15 to 17-year-old model who looks gorgeous can't afford you because she's broke. And if she can't afford you, she's not going to want you. She's going to go to somebody else who's doing the photo shoot. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to focus on women who are my age, who are, I wish I was 30. I'm 46 years old. But it's the women that are in our 40s, in our 50s, in our 60s. Don't be scared of us. We want love and we need to look good as well. But if you can make us look good, we're the ones that could afford to pay you. We're the ones that could say, yes, I want to hire that makeup artist to be the regular on this show. Focus on working on real women just to make us look good, to look normal. Don't make us look overly made up. Don't make us look like hookers. You know, don't make us look like clowns. Because if you think about it, when someone comes to a makeup store, what do they usually say? Please don't make me look crazy. Oh, I like a natural look. Oh, I don't like too much. They're basically frightened of us because we don't have a system. Makeup industry is the only industry that does not have regulated set of standards. If you go get a haircut, you can actually say to somebody, oh, I want to have a bob. I want to have layers. You know, can you do my bangs? Makeup doesn't have that. That's why we're trying to set standards so that when someone says to you, oh, I want a smoky eye, it's going to be the same. Because you know right now if you say I want a smoky eye, even in the same makeup counter, 3 different people will give you 3 totally different smoky eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like even when I teach, when I do my bridal class, and I tell people, if a bride says to you, oh, I want a natural look, I want a classy look, I want a elegant look, I say, tell them yes and do exactly this exact one method that I'm showing you. And so if you can just get that one basic method that's going to work, stay with that and don't deviate too much. This is one of our palettes. I'll tell you about this in a moment on why I have it. All right, I told you guys already how I got started and the fact that don't use excuses on why you can't do makeup. I was a single mother, I was a secretary also, and I was doing theatrical work at night and doing my office job during the day until it balanced out where I could make enough money doing makeup and give up the other career. So, and when you start out, please don't introduce yourself with excuses of why you're not good enough. Don't introduce yourself with saying, oh, I'm not that, I just started, oh, I'm just really this, or nobody needs to know that. Your fears keep in the back of your head or try to play dumb and not hear them. Introduce yourself as, hi, I'm Eve. I'm here to help. Nobody needs to know your background unless you're very proud of it and you want to share it. But no one needs to know why you don't feel confident in doing what you're doing. Nobody needs to know that. You just, hi, I'm Eve and I'm here to help. You know, I'm here to work. I'm here today. Don't tell them why you're not prepared. And the first thing you do when you show up to a job, any job that you're hired for or even you're volunteering for, try to get there a little early. Scope out the place and don't talk a lot. Just be quiet and just pay attention. It's amazing what you're going to learn by just being quiet and looking around at people. People will like you automatically because you're not annoying. So the first thing is do no harm. So don't be annoying. Be on time. And just be helpful. I know it sounds like really stupid and simple, but you'd be amazed at how people don't think about that. Every single person that we have working with us in our Eve Pearl booth, and this goes true for every place that we go around the world, we've combined and gathered through social media. How many people here are on Facebook? Great. How many people here are on Twitter? Terrific. How many people here have a website? All right. How many have business cards? Okay. So for all those of you that have not raised your hands, doesn't matter what you do. The fact that you don't have a business card, even from like a Vistaprint or something, or Staples, or whatever the office supply store here is silly. It's $5 to $10 to get a business card, and just to have a way to someone to contact you is worth that money. And when you do get a business card, can you please write the state that you're from or the country that you're from? Because I get a lot of business cards, even from New York, and people will have their name and they'll have their email. I understand if you don't want to put your home address, and that's okay, but at least put like Vancouver, you know, or Los Angeles, or New York. If I just see an area code and I don't know where you're from, I don't know what category to put you in even, or if I'm in a local area, I don't know who to contact because I have no idea where you're located. You know, unless you're an international traveler and you travel everywhere, you probably should put down at least the city and state that you live in. So how about put, you know, Vancouver, Canada, Los Angeles, you know, California, wherever you're from, just have that area. And if you don't want to be limited to that area, put a full area, say, you know, West Coast, you know, West Coast Canada, or however, whatever you're called, so people can identify where you're at. Like if you want to do bridal and wedding, write down where you're doing that. That's a great way to start and to make money. So these are just like simple. I'm all about simplicity. I'm a simple girl from Soviet Georgia, Russia. Was a single parent, really fell off the boat. I can't even spell. I wrote a book. So the people that talk about it, drive me crazy. Don't talk about stuff. I talk about things I want to do because it forces me to have to do it so I don't embarrass myself. You have to use whatever tools work for you. You know what works for you, so it's much easier to write the book than to talk about writing the book. Just sit down and write. The reason I say to use me as an example is because I'm somebody that didn't finish college, was a single, was married young, then had a baby, and then got divorced, and really was like your main candidate to be on welfare forever. And I was on welfare too. I spent a good 6 to 8 months on welfare. My son needed to have medical attention. That's okay. Whatever the system is to help you get you going, it's nothing to be ashamed of or to be embarrassed of, but there's no reason we have to feel sorry for ourselves and why we can't. There's no reason why we can't. Just want to make sure you know that, and if you need a reason, you email me and I'll set you straight. Because I'll let you know. Opportunities come your way all the time, but you have to wake up. If you're not awake, you're going to miss the opportunity. And if you're quiet and just wait in the sidelines, when I say to be quiet, I mean be quiet, not to be annoying. But an opportunity that happens, you got to take it. That means if someone says to you, oh, I have a job opportunity here, can you be here this day? Don't say, well, I can't, I kind of got to be somewhere else. Always have a cover for your job lined up. So if this is what you want to be doing and you get called in for a job, don't just leave the job that you have because you're going to piss off your boss. Make sure you have a cover for that job as well. So you can go and take your freelance work and someone is covering for you. Does that make sense? That allows you to always never say no to a job. Because when you start out, you really can't say no to a job. Because when you say no once, they go down the list to the next person and they're going to call them. So try to have a backup cover for yourself. So when they call you for a job, you say, okay, but you cover yourself also. Don't just take off from your job because that's not cool and your boss is not going to appreciate that. Those are just simple things that will help you. When I started out, I was working on All My Children, which was in the same studio building where The View was at. And I was out sick. I was out that day, sorry. The person on The View, the main person was out, and they had one fill-in, and the other person couldn't come in, so they called, in desperation, they called me. So I wasn't the beginning person that worked on The View. Within their first 6 months of the show, they called me in to fill in. I went to fill in the first time. They liked me very much. I did Star Jones and Joy Behar. They're the reasons I got hired. Every first job I got was because of a woman of color, by the way. I got hired on All My Children. I was first to fill in. I was the powder puff girl, you know, on the set. Other very important thing, people are always watching you. If you're the set person, or if you're someone who's there to fill in, or just to do very little stuff, please don't read a book. Please don't be texting and emailing, because people are watching you, and it's like texting when you're driving. You might be missing something that's going on camera. So if you're the person who's the on-set person, you really have to watch the monitor. You're there for a reason. I know I would always see people reading, or people knitting, or people doing like home ec projects. You can't be watching and paying attention. I was hired on All My Children. I worked there for 3 days, and a new actress came on. Her name is Leslie Uggams. She's a very famous American singer. She's a woman of color, a performer. She's like and at that time, everybody was busy, and they didn't really want to do a woman of color, or maybe they didn't know. I'm not sure what the case was, but for some reason, they threw me in to do her. And I had never done a woman of color either at that point. I just came from theater. I just started working television. That was like my first television gig. I was supposed to just powder on the set. And I just did it. You know, I'm like, how difficult could it be? I did her makeup. She liked it so much, she requested me as her makeup artist. So they had to hire me. And then that's how I got that job. And then when The View came about, when I went to fill in, I'd never seen the show before. I just heard terrible stories about how difficult they were. So I didn't even try out, because it was across the hall, but everybody that tried out, it was like really bad. So I heard terrible things that I didn't want. I was like, I don't need that to be made feel bad about myself. But when they called me in, I went in, and when they liked me, I went in to become the regular fill-in. Within 2 weeks, they hired me full-time, and within another month, I was the department head. Now, how did that come about? It didn't come about from backstabbing somebody or doing something bad. It came about because I saw that we need to order merchandise, that we need to order supplies. I saw that we need to label things and organize things. I saw we need to schedule. I saw we need to take care of the guests that come on, and to organize them and to schedule them. Nobody had done that before. They're simple little things, right? But I didn't wait for someone to tell me what to do. I saw a need, and type A personalities were like, ugh, you know, we wait for someone to do it, and if they're not going to do it, I'm going to just do it myself. But don't wait too long. And that's how, and like I said, I didn't do it to show up. I just did it to make my life easier. I was annoyed, like why do we have to have 10 people coming in at the same time? It makes no sense. Why do we not have powder puffs? Why don't we have sponges? Why isn't this thing labeled when this person is allergic? Why isn't, you know, so instead of asking these questions, I said, well, I'm not going to get mad. Let me label it myself. For me, it'll make it easier. Let me talk to the producers and try to schedule the guests. Oh, what a big solution. How about we just schedule a guest rather than having them show up before we have to go up on air? What I'm saying is, take initiative. Don't wait to be told. If something needs to get done and you might have a better solution, please, the statement that goes like this, I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. If you ever use that statement, please throw it away and never say it. Never say it to me, and never say it to people. Because if people are going to think you're going to step on their toes, those are insecure people that don't want help. You should always think of yourself, this is a team and I want to help. Does that make sense to you guys? Who's used the term, I don't want to step on anybody's toes? Okay, don't feel guilty, we've all done it. I don't want you to think that way anymore. I don't want you to think that I don't want to step on someone's toes. You don't have to be aggressive about it in a bad way, but say, you know, can I help doing this? Or can we try something like this? I'd rather you speak up, especially in my team. People who might not appreciate you, you don't want to be with them anyway. So you will find the right combination for yourselves. And there are good combinations. And if they don't exist, you're going to create the good combinations. All right? Because you're not always going to have happy-go-lucky situations, but it doesn't mean that you have to give up. You're going to create it yourself. I'm going to follow my little thing, sorry. I want to make sure that you have follow-through. I'm going to go over why I created my lines. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry. We discussed about Facebook and Twitter. So those of you that have Facebook and Twitter, do you actually tweet? Do you use it? Yeah? All right. Make sure you tweet some photos. You use it. When we have trade shows, we always do a tweet and a Facebook announcement of, we're going to be in Vancouver, we're going to be in LA. Anyone who wants to participate with our team, email us. That's how simple it is. And nobody's out of your access. If you ever want to reach anybody, you can. Email people. Most people's contacts are, if you want to, Any company like Crown, I'm sure it's like contact at Crown Brush or Google Crown Brush, you'll find them. You know, Google Makeup Forever, Google Eve Pearl, Google NYX. We're all on the internet, we all have email. People will respond to you. If you want to work with them at a trade show or an event, just email them. You'd be surprised how easy it is to reach companies, and if they don't want to hear from you, call somebody else. There's always somebody else. It's like dating. One doesn't work out, there's always somebody else over there. The system is you have to know how to walk and talk at the same time. Do you know what that means? This is what that means. That means you have to know how to stand up, put makeup on somebody, and talk to a camera at the same time. For those of you that already do YouTube videos and can do that, you're ahead of the game. For those of you that don't do that, and I don't mean just about YouTube, every time you're putting on makeup on somebody, pretend that you start talking to them, if not to them in your head. Every time I did trade shows all these years, that was my training ground. So I've been practicing without even knowing it. I share this with you because I want you to always think about the future, and this goes for the jobs that you have, for the careers that you do. Don't think about it as today. Don't say, well, I'll do this when I reach this point. No. You want to dress for the career you want. You want to prepare for the life you want. You want to envision it, but you want to be practicing for it always. And I try to force my team to talk out loud, and it was like, oh, I'm so shy. I'm shy too. I know you wouldn't believe it, but I'm kind of shy and slightly, I don't want to say antisocial, but I'm like very fun and at peace with myself. I'm not really, but I realize that in spite of my shyness, I become more loud and more excited. And the more excited I become, somebody else gets more excited, and you kind of feed off of it. So the more shy you are and the more scared you are to talk, just practice it out loud to yourself. When I first started on The View, I used to have a screen, a monitor that would have the words. And the director, every time I would go on, he'd be like, you don't need this thing. It's a crutch, you sound very, you're not talking comfortably. He says, I'm gonna give you like 3 months, and then I'm taking it away. I was so scared, I was so mad at him, but he took it away. And he goes, you know this stuff. You do this every day, you know this stuff. Just try to explain it to them what the hell you're doing. Even if you get it wrong, nobody's gonna know. And he forced me to do it, and I got it wrong, and I stuttered. And I have a stuttering problem as well, but I am so messed up, so seriously. My hands shake, I'm blind, I mean, come on. And I stutter. And my mouth gets dry. Like in the middle of a thing, all of a sudden, I'll be like, I can't breathe. So, because we all have our issues. But just practice to talk. I mean, my eyebrows sometimes go up. I look like a crazy person, like, like all excited. And my girls will come to be like, your eyebrows are up, like, put them down. Like, I'm going to get Botox so I can't move anything. I'll just be, But I would be happy to try to get Botox because I'm like always like this. They're up in the air. But these are little things. Or I'd be like looking mad and angry. And you don't realize the tics that you have. So it's not a bad idea to even just do it, because you never know. Someone might want you to teach. And when you're doing like someone's makeup, for instance, if you have something interesting to show them, just do one side. For those of you that have ever come to the Eve Pearl booth, and if you haven't, come by, because I want you to experience a little bit about how we do things, the whole Eve Pearl method and the reverse contour. How many of you guys know about the reverse contouring? It's very different? Yes. What we do is we teach you something that's totally opposite of everything you've been taught. Which means, instead of using light around the T-zone, I show you how to make it work by using dark around the T-zone. And it works. Instead of using light yellows under your eyes that makes the blue turn out to be gray, makes no sense, I show you how to put a salmon color that neutralizes the blue. I show you how to work with different skin tones and not to overcomplicate how to match foundation. I show you that I don't give a damn if you're a spring, a summer, a winter, or fall. I don't know what the hell that means. And I don't really care what season you are, because it makes no difference. And I don't try to figure out by 15 or 50 different foundation colors what shade you are. It's not that complicated. How about every single person here fits into 6 shades, into 6 combos. That's how easy it is. 6. Fair, light, medium, tan, dark, and deep. Every single one here. And guess what? If I put the exact same makeup style on every one of you, even though you're all individuals and very, very special, dear to my heart, but if I put the exact same thing on every one of you, you will all look extremely different, like yourselves, and feel very special. And I don't have to carry 100 products in a bag. My goal is to show you, to explain to you that life, work, career can be simple. And what you take out of your makeup bag is important, and how your makeup bag looks is important. So if your makeup case, bag, or whatever you have is dirty, not so good. And if it's confusing and overwhelming and you have things that people know cost $1 or $2, you probably can't charge $1,000 for a makeup job. I used to know a makeup artist that would take out like 2 or 3 very expensive products just to put over there, whether they use them or not, but they would never show anything that was not like a high quality or high-end brand. Or if they did have something they loved that was inexpensive, they would take the name off. Perception is also very important. You know, if my shoes would have red bottoms, which I have today, you would think differently. You know, ooh, she's got, you know, are they still manufactured in the same place or not? But still, it's a perception of, these are YSL though, but the scary thing is I was in Houston last week and a guy, claimed to be straight, was like, are those YSL blah 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 shoes? And I said, I don't know. You know, I said, all I know is they're comfortable. And he was trying to date me, and I'm like, I don't think I could date you because I don't want a man that I'm going out with to know more about shoes than I do. Unless we're shopping together, and that's okay. Then I want you to know everything I need to know about shoes, and you come shopping with me. Yeah, even better, then I don't care. But I'm just saying, it's perception. It's kind of interesting about perception of things. All right, back to Kevin James Bennett and I. He had a great story, and I want to share this little story with you about 3 important things. And then I'm going to have a couple of little business things to go over. But I want 3 things for you guys to try to do and not do. I want you, 1, not to live in the past. Okay, don't live in the past. What's behind us is not important. It is only going to stop you from moving ahead. It's going to paralyze you. So the past can only bring you things that you might be afraid of. And I mean, like, don't let the past affect your future. Don't live in the past. Don't live in the future, and don't let the fear of what's going to be in the future frighten you and paralyze you. Try to live in the present. And I know that we hear that, but what does that exactly mean? How many of you say, I can't wait until this job is over. I can't wait until this weekend is over. I can't wait until this marriage is over. I can't wait until this thing is over. I can't wait until... If you're saying that, you're waiting for your life to be over. Because if we keep waiting for things to be over, we're going to die. So whether you're in a difficult job or a difficult life, a difficult situation, experience the situation, and if you don't want to be in it, get out of it, but don't wait for it to be over. Like, this is really hard, setting up for a trade show and working and getting up at crazy hours, but you know what? If you take a moment and take it all in, it's kind of amazing. And everything is an experience, and try to kind of live in the moment. I only learned this last year. I worked on amazing jobs. I worked on the Today Show. I traveled around the world, Olympics, at the royal wedding, and all of us used to say, I can't wait until this is over. Oh, I can't wait for the royal wedding to be over so we can get back to our lives. I can't wait for the Olympics to be... All we were doing was waiting for our lives to be over. It took me until the age of 45 to realize, that is crazy. I am waiting to live, to like my life to die. And I'm waiting for what? To achieve a goal so I can be happy? You're never going to be happy. This is it. This is it. Today's it. Experience it. Meet the people around you. Very important to communicate and be engaging. Engage the person next to you. Engage the person behind you. Engage the person who just cut in front of you in line and grabbed that last eyeliner that you wanted. You know, don't be aggressive engaging them, but engage and talk. You'd be amazed that right here how much networking you can do. You know, one of my customers, one of our fans, his name is Tommy. I love him. He's so cute. He's working with Makeup Forever. He's so adorable. He was at our, been buying our stuff for the last 2 years. And I said, oh, are you working? What are you doing? Oh, Vancouver is kind of small. It's hard to do things in Vancouver. Every place is small. And if the business doesn't exist, you create it. Go to an office. Grab 5 women. Choose the craziest looking one and put makeup on her. I guarantee you, she will buy whatever you use on her, and so will everybody else. I say this because I want you to understand, for those of you that have seen my line before, because I innovate and I make things simple. This is what we introduced during this show. And why we introduced it, I will explain to you. Really for me, because I travel a lot. This is a palette that we introduced just about a month ago. So here it's the first time. This is called our Flawless Face Palette. Why do I have this? Why am I showing this to you? This has everything in one. You've got foundation, 2 salmon concealers, and a blush. This is the light. So by looking around this room, probably more than a third of you are light. Another third of you are going to be the medium. And probably, you know, my math really sucks, but whatever the leftover is of the 2 parts of the 1/3 would be tan, dark, and like 1 or 2 of you, like you'd be the deep, and maybe 1 or 2 of you are fair. The fair people and the deep people, there's not that much products for you, but we have stuff as well, and other companies do. Like you're fair, probably really hard to match you, but we have, and we understand. But you have to understand that people, like you're fair right there, but people market for what, you know, is what most people are, but it doesn't mean that we don't have things for you. The reason I created this is because I want to make things easy. And when I do a woman's makeup with all this, she doesn't have to choose. Oh, can I only afford to buy the foundation? Can I only afford to buy the concealer? Maybe I can only afford to buy, you know what? Here, this is the same price almost as our foundation. You have everything in here, go test it all out. So what I'm saying is, if I do makeup on somebody, anyone who I put makeup on, I know that they would like to have this because it's going to make their life easier. All you need to do is put makeup on somebody. This one powder palette, we use this on everybody. From fair, light, medium, tan, dark. Yesterday I was at Blanche and I put makeup on a lovely woman. She was a woman of color. She was in between dark and deep, and this worked on her too. I show you this because just with this simple colors, you can do everybody's makeup. And why do I show it to you in one kit? Because I want you to think for yourselves how many times you've done somebody's makeup using your palettes, big palettes of you know, even the nicer companies that have, you know, things that you pop out the things, you put all your colors. I used to do that. And whenever I would do someone's eye makeup, they would be like, I love the way you did my eyes. What did you use on my eyes? I'd be like, oh, I used amber lights, so I used, you know, humid, blah, 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 you know. And they'd say, well, does this come in a kit? No. Can you make me a kit? I'd be like, oh. I would be so annoyed. I have to go make a kit, pop out the thing for them. And I would be upset why companies don't make this for people. And if you go to retail, think about all the retail things. When you buy like a small compact for at home, when you buy a smoky palette, it's like gray, gray, white, black, gray. You know, or if it's like, it's all kind of like poo-poo colors or things that don't have, like, I wanted to have, so seriously, the first palettes I made, and why I'm showing you these, because this is about developing your own line now. Because I want you guys to be innovative. When you're creating things, I want you to innovate. This was my first eyeshadow palette, called the Ultimate Eyeshadow Palette. Because these are the basic colors, 6 that I use on everybody. These are all double pigmented. So that means when you're touching any color, you actually get a color. You know, you're not like rubbing, it's really here, it's a lot of color. But I made these, and this is the same thing as the big palette, because I did not want to take the time to go and make individual things for people. And I don't want to open up 10 different items, nor do I want the person I'm working on to think that they could never achieve what I'm doing for them. So when you have a big palette, the person you're working on can never aspire to what you've done. And it's not like they're gonna take your job away from you, but you're giving them hope that when you do their face and do their makeup, they can then at least do it when you're not there, semi-well. So that's why I created these little things. That's why I created these face palettes, the Flawless, is so now when I travel, I basically take this one, you know, cream palette and the one powder palette with my brushes, and that's all I take. The same thing for, you see these? These are all glosses. I don't travel with all these glosses. This is just here for my kit, because I haven't yelled at them enough yet to take them out. But and we make these, but I only travel with 3. I'm going to show you which 3. Just to show you how simple life can be. I take Baby Doll, which is pinkish. I take Hey Sexy, which has a little bit of a beige. And I take another one that's called See Through, that doesn't have any shimmer in it. Just these 3. That's it. I don't have 50 different glosses. They're not necessary. It's confusing to the person and to me. Who needs it? One that has a pink tone, one that has a peach tone, and one that has no shimmer, very, very neutral. When I travel, I don't even have this much stuff when I travel. This is like all extra. Because in here, I fit not only this, I fit. You see what this is? These are 2 cups from Staples. This is the 1 cup. I want you to do things that are simple. This is another cup. Here's all my brushes. You see this becomes squishy? I want you to see how you can make life simple. This becomes a 3rd cup. Here's a full set of brushes with some extra foundation concealer brushes. Now, Black Pearl liquid liner, you can't do without that one. By the way, when you're checking out on liners, do you see this mechanism? There's a little spring in here. This prevents this from drying out. This is not a felt tip, this is a brush. So that every time you put this, it's gonna go on perfect, okay? There's a difference between brush tips and felt tips. And when you see other mechanisms, if they don't have a spring, it's gonna dry out. This does not. I'll have to show you because now I'm a math scientist and I'm a developer. But it doesn't mean that your first project is gonna be perfect. That's the next thing I wanna go over. For those of you that wanna create your own makeup lines, I'm gonna show you something. Anyway, first of all, you see this? So now I have 4 cups so that I don't have to wear, because I don't usually wear the thing here, only when I'm at a trade show, but I always have 2. And even to make my carrying easier, you see the new bags we made? This way I could fit my brushes in here and my soy latte in here, extra. Hey, it makes your life easier when you're carrying things. You want to make sure, these are the things that for your kit, for makeup artists, that you want to make your life easier. Sponges, you want to have non-latex. Do not have latex, you want to have non-latex. A latex sponge, when you make it wet, it's going to expand. Like if it's a sponge on Viagra, it's got to get like, I'm sorry, it's, you know, sleep deprivation is the closest thing to being slightly intoxicated, so we're always slightly buzzed here. This is a new, I'm sorry we sold out, but I got to show you this thing because we're going to have it soon. What I'm doing here is I'm making this tighter. This is our new thumb palette that goes here, so you can have everything on your hand. We've sold out because it was, I'm sorry, it was a new development. We're gonna have some more. They're gonna be black with Eve Pearl, but this was the first of a development that it's not finalized yet. For those of you that develop items, there is a process. This does not exist yet. But in case you wonder how people develop new items, first we had, I'm gonna show you. For those of you that know our line, this is pressed powder, let me find a foundation. Dual pressed powder. All right, imagine this is the foundation. Oh, here it is. The way the line started and evolved, so don't be scared when you're evolving your own. This was my first product. Okay, my foundation trio, my salmon concealer trio. That's what we're known for, the salmon concealer was my first product. And this component, if you drop it, this is gonna break. It's a horrible component, and we discontinued it, but people went crazy because what's inside is what's good. So we started scooping this out, putting it into this Pro palette that we hand fill ourselves. This is a Japanese Pro palette. We put it in here to make our lives easier, and then we made it for everybody else available as well. But then they wanted to have a high-end thing so they could sell it to their high-end customers, so we created, you know, these beautiful packaging with a little cover, a little flip cover, with a little spongy in here. But this is the 4th generation. So don't be discouraged in case you create something and it's not going to be 100% what you want. Don't beat yourself up. The first generation of this didn't have a cover and did not have any holes in here for this to breathe. So you learn, you're like, oh, I need to have holes for this to breathe. So we made holes. Then we put on this little flip thing. Then you want to make the flip thing stronger. Now we just realized you can make this so it doesn't come off by making a silk screening. These are little tiny things, but if you're going to develop your own products, try to find out and research what levels you can do, and it's okay to, you know, to admit, like, this is what I know. The next thing we're going to develop, because I'm like a mad scientist now, is this. This is going to be our new Pro palette. For all those of you that are not on our mailing list, I suggest very highly you join our mailing list, because this is going to be our new Pro palette that has every foundation from fair to deep, every salmon concealer, Okay, from fair to deep, every blush, a mattifier, illuminator, and a lip treatment, all in one. It's going to have all the labels inside. It's going to be removable, interchangeable. It's going to have our names here, everything what to use it for. And we love feedback. We are always evolving, and that's how you guys should be. As a makeup artist, I'm always evolving, always trying to learn something new. Think about it. We don't use the same phones we used 5 years ago. Right? We don't use the same kind of internet we did 5 years ago. Hair dryers, nothing. Everything changes, so try to keep up. You can always email us, contact@evepearl, but please do sign up. And things like our thumb palette we'll have hopefully by September. But this is we patented this. It's kind of cool. It looks like a mirror. It's going to be black with EP because I want people to be able to put this on TV and have it not shine. And this is going to be adjustable, and it's very light and kind of cool. And won't break. And the great thing is to have communication with makeup artists, and it's amazing at how many of the larger companies don't have real makeup artists working for them. They just have the end user giving them their feedback, which I feel we're very fortunate. If you guys want things to be made that you don't have the ability to, tell other companies about. Like, we're always listening to what people want. So if you want something or something's missing, let us know. And if nothing else, my goal is to take the fear away from you guys and just go for whatever it is that you want. Never let the fear of somebody else prevent you from doing what you know in your heart you're meant to do. The worst that could happen is never as bad as what you think it might be. So I wish you guys incredible success. May you all become your own makeup mogul. May you please visit, our Eve Pearl brand and booth over there. Sign up to our mailing list. If you ever have questions, please do keep up. Blanche McDonald School is going to be carrying our stuff here. I call it stuff, yes. They have it in their store, and they're going to be doing education as well. We have a great person that works out of Vancouver. Her name is Darlene. She's stationed here. If you ever want any education or any classes, she'd be happy to talk to you. She's right up front. And good luck. Do you guys have any questions? And thank you, by the way. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. You guys have any questions you want to shout out? No? Everyone's shy? Who's the most shy? Shout something out. Come on. No? Go ahead.
Can you sign up for your pro programs here?
Yeah.
You can?
You could if you sign up here, you can bypass a lot of the stuff of having to mail us all your information and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, go over there and ask us to sign up, but just sign up to the contact. Yeah?
What age were you when you started doing makeup?
What age was I? Well, I was doing makeup in high school for my friends and for like the shows that we did, but I really didn't start doing it officially until I was in my late 20s. Yeah, and that was like, I sort of snuck in. You had a question?
Yeah, how on earth do you find suppliers to actually make your makeup? It sounds great. How do you make your makeup? Where do you go?
How do you make your makeup? You find one or two companies that will also make smaller runs for you. Like, you'd be surprised, but Krylon makes makeup for other people, and there's companies that will make makeup for other people. It's not so easy because the options you have are to go to like a Your Name Cosmetics or like a Columbia, and they have their own generic. It's challenging. You have to buy large quantities. That's why I think we still have the trios. We had like 100,000 of them. It's hard. Do not wait to get a big investor to make a whole line. I had one item at a time. I've been doing this now for 8-9 years. I started out with my salmon concealer. There were little ones. Then it was only the medium color. Then we added another color. Then we had a foundation. For a whole year, I only had the one eyeshadow palette. Estee Lauder created 3 lipsticks. Estee Lauder started out with 3 basic lipsticks. Smashbox started out with nail polish. You can find somebody that can make one thing that you like. If you like lip colors or glosses. It's a difficult business, but it doesn't mean that you cannot do it. But do one thing at a time. I see people that want to go and just invest like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't do that, because anything you develop, I guarantee you it's not going to be what you want. There's always many generations of it, and that's okay. So don't wait to make it perfect. Don't wait to be perfect. Don't wait for things to be perfect to launch them. As long as you have something, even if it's in a terrible little, my concealer was created out of mixing, I'll admit this, a bunch of different companies' products. Like I would make some Krylon, you know, some Derma, I'd make some Joe Blasco, I'd make a bunch of things because like, you know, I would mix, because like for me one company's was too dry, one company's was too oily, one company's was too this, so I would mix the colors I wanted like a crazy person, and that's how I would start it out. And then I needed someone to match this and then put it into a container. People do things in their kitchen. I mean, you can't do this mass, but you could at least build up some cash flow. So if you have something you love, do one. I mean, make one item, you know, like 100 of them, 200, to get feedback, because you're gonna have to always improve upon it. But don't think it's out of your reach. Nothing is out of your reach. Even if, I'm totally self-funded. I don't have backing, I don't have investors. I did a little bit at a time. And I don't have a sugar daddy or a rich husband or anything like that. I'm just me. I'm my sugar mama on myself. It makes you work harder, but you know what? It's yours, and I'd rather have something little and have it be mine than have a lot of people telling me what to do, because I'm not really good at that. That's probably why I'm not married still, because I'm just not really. Sorry. The comedy just comes with the lack of, you know, sleep thing. Sorry. Anything else? Before we have a 2-drink minimum? Yes?
How much do you interact with your clients and just like very depending on the situation?
Interact like how so? Do I? No, I don't talk to them. Not really. If I go to a job, okay, it's a very good question. It's very different. If I'm doing a bride, I need to ask her, you know, do you have a, like, when are you getting married? Is it summertime? It's a whole bridal thing. But if I'm going to a job on a TV show and somebody sits down, I might say, do you have any particular issues? And I mean, just with your face, I'll make them joke. If they don't get it, then I'm not going to talk to them anymore. But usually, you know, I'll just start working on them. If they have issues, they'll usually tell you. But I'm not a big chit-chatter on a TV gig or on a theatrical. I'll just say, do you have a particular look you want to go for if it's a theater thing? And if it's TV, I just do what I do. I don't want to ask them any, I don't want their opinion. And you don't want their opinion. If you're going to stick with the basics, stick with the whole Eve Pearl method, basics, you don't have to ask them anything. Is that what you mean? But if it's a client that's coming to me for a lesson, or if it's a client that's not sure, I'll say, do you have anything that you want to focus on? But if it's a TV gig, no. I'll be like, okay, do you have anything you want me to use of yours? I don't even want to ask that because I don't want to use anything of theirs. So I just start working. And I don't talk to them. Unless they talk to me, don't chit chat with your clients on a TV show. They don't want to talk to you. And if they talk to you, doesn't mean that it's opened up a whole free conversation. Answer them and move on. Seriously, like I've seen people start and it's like, oh my God, now I can't get supposed to shut up. So just like answer them politely and be there to respond. They really don't want to talk to you. They need you just to bounce off their own. I mean, I'm just being honest. They don't really want to have a conversation with us. They are sometimes bouncing off ideas or just want to, you know, we're like there to serve them. And it's not, like we have to understand that we're service providers and it's okay. We're like the help and we are the help and that's totally fine. You have to be okay. We could be very high paid help and I'm okay with that. But we have to also know our position. You can be very close to somebody and work with them for years, but always remember you work for them. And that's a very interesting line that people sometimes forget. They're not your friends. And it's not a bad thing that I'm saying. They're your boss or they're the talent you work on. Don't forget that. And people that forget that lose their jobs. So try not to forget that. And it's not a bad thing about us. Doesn't matter what level you're at. People that get too fabulous about what we do will be out of a job. So it's okay to let them, the person who's the talent, they're used to the spotlight, sometimes they need it, and you want to let them have it. And you're just there to sort of protect them. You had a question?
Did you do any schooling at all? Like, did you go to one?
Do I have any school? I have no education. I don't even know how to no. No, I have no schooling. Here's the thing. I did get schooling, but it was through the head of the department for New York City Opera. So my education and schooling came on the job. I learned how to do makeup from the head of the department from American Ballet, New York City Opera. And he was like an amazing artist, and he really wasn't someone that would take on people to teach, but for some crazy reason he agreed to teach me. And I took 4 lessons that I paid a lot of money for. I paid for each lesson. Then 20 years ago, it was $275 per 1 hour lesson. That was a lot of money for, a single parent. But I paid those lessons because those lessons were worth it to me to then work with him. That's the other thing. Volunteer your work for free because it's going to get you access to places you're not going to get access to. And I've taken free jobs and I've done free jobs, but don't do them forever. And sorry, my very easily distracted. You're better off, whether you're doing a free job or you're charging a whole lot of money, give the same 100%. This is something really important. Whether you're doing a fabulous celebrity or you're doing somebody you feel is a nobody, you really should give the same of your energy because it's about you and not about them. For every person that sits in my chair, whether I have time, I don't have time, it doesn't, whether I'm tired or not, they're in my chair and I'm touching them, so it's my energy has to be reflected on them and they should feel the experience. Because it's not just, you don't want them just to look good when you're done. You want them to feel amazing when they're done. It's like every one of you has had a massage maybe at one time or another. Maybe some of you are old enough have experienced intimacy with somebody or whatever. You remember that experience of a bad massage when someone's like poking you or and you remember that of a really good massage or a good kiss or a bad kiss. You want to be the one that they remember who touched their faces and they're going to remember, wow, that really felt nice. I wasn't beaten up by somebody and I wasn't treated like they didn't care. It kind of is a huge thing. That's why we call it an experience. Does that make sense? Anything else? You guys are ready to go now, right? You're secure, you're going to do things and feel confident and you're going to find work even if it doesn't exist. You're going to go to an office, you're going to create a little party, a little gathering. You're going to go to a bank or and say, I want to help your people get a visual competitive edge. I want to give a free class for all of your females here on how to put makeup on for a professional look. Because your receptionist shouldn't look like she's going out to a club and dancing on a pole with her little glitter eyes. You know what? You've all seen, you walk in, the receptionist looks crazy. At your attorney's or at the doctor's office. It's really inappropriate. It's okay for them. Even though they look nice and they're sweet, it's not, I don't want my attorney to look like she's going clubbing. And I don't want my doctor to look that way either. Or into a financial office. And you'd be amazed if you just make the phone call or go and meet with your banker or whoever you might have or someone you're talking to. Say, by the way, do you guys ever do training for your, for the females or offer them something fun as a little incentive? Go over there and do a training for them. Free. Let me just do a quick training on how to look corporate. Make it up. And you go there, they'll have 5 to 10 women and you show them how to put makeup on. I guarantee you'll have a couple of sales. And you want to think of yourself as more than just a service provider. If you can carry 1 or 2 items that you always use the same of, that's why I make things that are easy, carry 1 or 2 of those extra ones. You do their makeup, they love it, they want it, sell it to them. It's very simple. I haven't recreated any wheels. I've just taken what exists and I made it better. I made it easier for myself and I'm trying to share that information because I know how hard every single one of you works. I know how much we all schlep and how much money we spend in schools and I didn't not go to a school because I didn't want to, I just didn't have the opportunity. I was a single parent, I really couldn't, I had a scholarship I couldn't take, so, I'm a basketball player, I play sports. So that's why it's funny that I do makeup because I was like a tomboy. She's cutting me off now. I gotta go, but so thank you guys, that's enough. Congratulations and go make a big business out of this career. Thanks. Thank you.